Welcome to Cardinals Cover 2 with Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Cardinals Cover 2 is brought to you by Arizona Cardinals Podcasts. Visit azcardinals.com/podcasts. From the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, here's Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki.
All right, we need some good news on this Monday. You got any good news, MJ? Anything?
Yeah, the sun came up today.
There you go. See, I knew I could
Blue
count
skies.
on you. See, the it's not ending.
Ending?
Yeah, the world didn't come to an end
No.
on Sunday. No.
Listen, what we do is we work in the toy department. Now, along those lines, though, football is about production and results.
That is true.
And if you're not productive and you don't have results, you're not showing improvement, well, there's a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. It is a Monday. It is a Cyber Monday. And if you were with us on Friday, you know my affinity for Black Friday. But I'm a big Cyber Monday fan. And, well, we've got something for you a little bit later on in the show, courtesy our friends over at Bose. So stay tuned here on Cards Cover 2. And with that, let's take off on this Monday. Here's what's ahead on the show. We'll begin with the fallout from Sunday, and there is quite a bit. Some poignant comments from Corey Peters. Where does the offense go from here under quarterback Josh Rosen? And, of course, your questions via social media using the hashtag CardsCovered2, hashtag CardsCovered2 with the number 2 to get involved in the show. We'll do that a little bit later on here from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center. But first, the news of the day. Roster moves, and there were several. The headline, cornerback Bene Benwikere and tackle Andre Smith released. Head coach Steve Wilks explains.
When you look at the inconsistency, and I know you guys watch and report on the game as well because you constantly ask me about the offensive line play, you saw the inconsistency there. And one of the things we have to do, I do a great job of protecting our quarterback. So that was one of the moves. And Corey's playing well, and we want to be able to give him an opportunity to be able to play on that right side. When you look at what we're trying to get done from a standpoint of the secondary and the play that we're trying to get, a little inconsistent there. And we wanted to make sure that we give other guys opportunities to be able to step up and see what they can do as well.
The Corey that you heard Coach Wilks mention there when we're talking about Andre Smith is rookie Corey Cunningham, who has played left tackle the past 2 weeks because DJ Humphries has been sidelined. Humphries is expected to return this week. That would move Cunningham to right tackle, which he said last week that he did play some in college. And, of course, with Benwikere no longer on the team, David Amerson, Leonard Johnson, Chris Jones, any combination of those three or maybe someone else not on the roster as of yet, at least the active roster, could be in the mix opposite Patrick Peterson.
Let's start with Andre Smith. I thought he actually played above what I anticipated.
He graded out well early in the season. And then about the last month, he looks a little heavy to me. And I know they have weigh-ins, and each player is obviously in the weight room, and they do have a cafeteria, so they are watching what they're eating. But he was struggling, and I was surprised they didn't get him any help over there. And I know they were trying to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. Sometimes you got to put a tight end over there. Sometimes you need a running back to chip, and that's not the easiest matchup when they're going against a defensive end on a running back. So I thought he probably should have been benched last week. So I think it's the right move, and I'm actually excited and intrigued with Corey Cunningham. He's got really good feet, long arms. He's a guy that fell to the 7th round, late bloomer in college, didn't go to a big school, University of Cincinnati. Started his career at tight end. That's
right.
what he was recruited
exactly.
at Cincinnati.
At the University of Cincinnati, and then obviously size-wise, they decided to move him on the offensive line. So I'm intrigued. Hopefully he could be your future right tackle. Worst case scenario, swing tackle, and that means you have depth. As for Bene Benwikere, a guy that played for Steve Wilks and Al Holcomb, can play inside, outside, and safety. And he's kind of one of those guys where he's good in a pinch, meaning he can play 25 to 30 snaps, really good on special teams. But when he's out there for 60 to 65 snaps, teams are going to target anybody playing opposite of Patrick Peterson. He got exposed, and he had poor tackling. And so that's the decision they made to move on from there. Leonard Johnson yesterday, he had a rough day. Welcome to the NFL. He was targeted 8 times, gave up 8 catches, close to 97 yards. Passer rating thrown to his side, 117. So you got to find out what you have when it comes to these guys. Clearly, corner is a need going into the offseason, whether it's in free agency or it's in the draft. They have to flood that position. They've tried over the years, and unfortunately it hasn't panned out.
Yeah, the second time now in as many weeks the Cardinals have released a cornerback. A week ago it was Jamar Taylor. This week it is Bene Benwikere, and now with Andre Smith, that is 3 starters, because remember, Taylor started the first 4 games of the season before losing his job to Benwikere, who started the last 8. In fact, Taylor started the first 3 games, but you're talking about 3 current or former starters who have now been released in the last 2 weeks. For Wilks, he was asked, has a message been sent to those players in the locker room?
I'm not really in the business of trying to send messages or trying to be subliminal in any way. I'm very direct in my approach and the things that I say. And if you're not doing it our way, if you're not giving us the best opportunity to win football games, number one, you won't be on the field. And if it gets to that point, we'll move on. And that's what we did.
Coach Wilks made it very plain and simple. You either buy in or we'll move on from you. And it's the next man up theory, but usually you hear it with an injury, but now it's based off performance, and the Cardinals are not messing around here. We talked about it last week, those last 6 games. Now it's 5 games. Evaluations ongoing. Cardinals are not going to wait until the offseason to make moves. A couple of other moves the team did make on Monday. Linebacker Josh Bynes, kicker Phil Dawson placed on injured reserve. The loss of Bynes is big. He was that quarterback in the middle of the defense. He's got a thumb issue. Dawson has been dealing with a bad hip, so those seasons are done for Bynes and Dawson respectively. Zane Gonzalez, who was on the practice squad, has been elevated to the active roster. He is now your new Cardinals kicker. And as of the moment, as we talk to you here on this Monday, there are 3 open roster spots on the 53-man active roster.
Yeah, you got to think maybe a guy like Jalen Tolliver, who they were excited about. He's got strong hands. He was an undrafted free agent. Maybe they're able to bring him back. And then you just got to wait and see the injury bug. What positions are basically where you need to fill some holes, or in this case, you need to create some depth. Let me say this about Coach Wilks. Obviously, it's not going as well as everyone thought it would. Just not being competitive, not being able to finish games, not playing smart football, not being able to tackle. So, he's come out and said it's 50% on the coaches and 50% on the players. We can debate that. Steve Wilks isn't missing tackles. He's not missing field goals. He's not getting Josh Rosen hit. So there's a lot of little things. There's layers to the story. But I will say this. Talking to players, he has not changed his demeanor. He's been very consistent, whether you like it or not. He's changed some of their schedule, getting these guys out of meetings so they have more energy, having an extra walkthrough in practice throughout the course of the week. He's changed up some of the meeting times. So he's tried different things. It's not like you hear the saying, well, if you continue to do it over and over, that's insanity. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect different results. It's going to be the same results. So just from a guy that is an outsider, but, I have opportunity to talk to people in the locker room, he hasn't changed his demeanor or his personality, and I think that goes a long way in considering what's going on this year with the Cardinals, not so much roster, but record.
And so far this season, the players speak very highly, even to this day, of Coach Wilks and what he's trying to get across. And again, I'll say it one more time. You either buy in or you move out. And so far, the Cardinals have made it known that they are not afraid to move on from players here in 2018 ahead of what should be a lot of decisions to be made in 2019.
Now, I like what he said about not sending messages. But for any player in that locker room, some guys get comfortable. Now, there's certain players that are untouchable. But when you're looking at the last 15, 18 guys, they're interchangeable in a heartbeat. So that's got to be a wake-up call. Benwikere played for Holcomb, played for Wilks, and he's on the street right now. He's subject to the waiver wire. Some of these other guys they brought in as free agents, they thought they were part of the future. Andre Smith, he's on the street right now. So it may not be a wake-up call, but I'm telling you, it gets the attention of players that are fringe players, knowing that they don't know where they're going to be 6 or 7 weeks from now.
The roster moves on this Monday are results of what happened on Sunday. Let's take you back to StubHub Center. Cardinals and Chargers. It is week number 12, and the game started very well for the Cardinals. First possession, Josh Rosen rolls out, finds Christian Kirk open for a 17-yard gain. Same drive, Rosen. This time the play fake throws to Larry Fitzgerald, who fights his way across the goal line for a 25-yard touchdown, and afterward rewards a fan in the front row with the ball.
Larry's always in the giving spirits, and you got to give Josh Rosen credit here. He knew exactly what he wanted to do when the ball was snapped. Larry Fitzgerald's able to get open. It's not a tight window, so to speak, or in this case, he had a couple of receivers, and then Larry obviously was able to get to the end zone, which is nice to see.
Cardinals' second possession of the Chargers went 3 and out. Rosen screen pass to David Johnson. That's a gain of 17. Sets up Phil Dawson, who makes a 30-yard field goal, and just like that, it's 10-0 Cardinals. Unfortunately, that would be the last of the Cardinals scoring as the wheels fell off, and it started with the ensuing kickoff. Desmond King up the sideline for a 40-yard return before being tackled by Zeke Turner. Second quarter, Chargers with the ball. Same drive, 3rd and goal. Rivers throws the ball to the back of the end zone. Mike Williams goes up, comes down with the football. That was Bene Benwikere, by the way, on the coverage. And just like that, the Chargers have cut the Cardinals' lead to 10-7. Cardinals look to respond, but Rosen is sacked by Joey Bosa as he beats, Bosa does, Andre Smith, and it's a 3 and out. Defense, though, comes to play. Rodney Gunter with the strip sack, Benson Mayowa, the recovery, and the Cardinals are in business at the Chargers' 35.
Yeah, you want to see the Cardinals capitalize on this turnover right here. Rodney Gunter's having a really good year, getting more opportunities, more snaps, and then you look at a guy like Benson Mayowa, who probably doesn't get the credit, but he's been a nice addition that the Cardinals signed in the offseason.
Cardinals, though, MJ, do not capitalize. Dawson missed a field goal, and the Chargers start rolling. It begins with Melvin Gordon. That is a 28-yard touchdown. Chargers take the lead 14-10, and they do not look back. Next Cardinals possession. In fact, the very first play, Rosen is picked off by Derwin James, the rookie first-round draft pick, as the ball sailed over the head of Derek Coleman. Kirk was in the area as well. The 11th interception thrown by Rosen. That sets up this. Gordon with his second touchdown, 5 yards, and the Chargers extend their lead to 21-10. This still in the second quarter, by the way, and the Chargers not done yet. Rivers throwing a jump ball to Williams, their second connection to the game, and that is 28 straight second quarter points.
All right, you start looking at it there. Phillip Rivers was on fire. You could see the Cardinals, maybe a little bit of confusion, but they had pretty good coverage right here. Great throw, great catch, and I like the fact that Williams was able to get both feet in bounds for a touchdown.
At halftime, Rivers 19 of 19. Third quarter, Rivers slides the pocket to the right, directs traffic, finds Keenan Allen open for the touchdown, able to get both feet in bounds. It was reviewed. 35-10 Chargers.
Give Rivers credit here. He's able to see what the pre-snap read. He was able to roll out to his right. Great throw, great catch, both feet in bounds. Another touchdown for the Chargers.
And they were not done yet. Third quarter, 4th down inside the red zone. Chargers forego the field goal. Austin Eckler playing because Gordon got hurt, gains 13 yards, and it's 1st and goal. And why not let Eckler finish it off? A 2-yard run straight up the middle on the final play of the quarter. Chargers 42, Cardinals 10. Fourth quarter, as the Cardinals looking for anything, some positive momentum, but on 3rd down, Rosen sacked once again, and again, it is Joey Bosa.
And again, it's Andre Smith.
Chargers tack on one more three-pointer, and it's a Michael Badley 31-yard field goal. Final score 45-10 as the Cardinals drop their 3rd in a row and drop to 2-9 on the season. It started off so well, I'll say it was a perfect first quarter, at least a perfect first 11 minutes, and then it just kind of derailed after the Dawson missed field goal. The defense was able to come up with a takeaway, but unable to capitalize as Dawson missed that kick, and it just kind of went downhill from there, and the Cardinals were never able to stop the momentum.
No, and you look at Phillip Rivers, and we know he's going to be a future Hall of Famer, and he's really excelled with Ken Wisenhunt. They have weapons. They have a really good offensive line. He's a guy that you're not going to show him anything he hasn't seen in the past. And I was talking to a scout this morning, and he said a lot of his throws were all pre-snap reads. He knew where he wanted to go for the ball. Now, we've watched Kurt Warner in practice, whether it's training camp or off-season workouts when he was here. And there's a drill they do 7-on-7. And there were times Kurt would go a couple practices in a row and the ball would never hit the ground. It seemed like Phillip Rivers was playing 7-on-7 football yesterday where the ball didn't hit the ground. The only time that he threw an incomplete pass, now he was sacked 4 times in the game, so they're able to get to him a little bit, but he was hit on that play, and you could see he torqued his body a little bit, so he wasn't able to make the throw. But to me, at some point, and I'm not big on stupid penalties, but somehow, some way, I got to get to Phillip Rivers and knock him down.
Disrupt his momentum,
just get him off
his rhythm.
Nothing, everything legal in the play in the rule book, but I'm just saying, knock him off his spot and make it uncomfortable for him. And unfortunately, they had to worry about the secondary and some of those receivers that were running wide open, missed tackles. So it's just a combination of things. But I would try to hit them as more than they obviously had the opportunity to. And sometimes you want to rush 4 and drop 7 into coverage. You think you got good coverage in the secondary. We know this team relies on forcing turnovers. Unfortunately, they haven't come in bunches like they have in the preseason. So I just don't like a quarterback to sit back there and pick you apart. I want to hit him, get him. And again, it's just more of put him in 3rd and long. Make it difficult for him where he's just not checking down a lot of those passes.
Rivers completed his first 25 pass attempts. That set an NFL record. His 25 straight completions overall tied the NFL mark for consistently in one game or across games. The 25 of 25 he finished. Rivers did 28 of 29 for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. For more on Sunday's outcome, here are Dave Pasch and Ron Wolfley.
Welcome to the Arizona Cardinals 2-minute drill. Dave Pasch and Ron Wolfley. Wolf, for the first quarter, it looked great. The Cardinals were leading 10-0, but after that, the Cardinals barely gained 40 yards and gave up 45 straight points. What happened? Where do you start?
Oh, my goodness. It just was like 2 different quarters. They were playing so well on the line of scrimmage in that first quarter, both offensively and I would say defensively as well. And then, David, in the second quarter, suddenly the Chargers started to gash that front 7 for the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals just did not look like they were engaged. The players did not look that way to me. And tackling, once again, maybe the worst that I have seen the Arizona Cardinals play in the last few years. Tackling, a lot of that is desire. Gap integrity is desire. Blocking your man is desire. And every player that played in that second quarter on, you got to look at yourself and ask yourself, what am I doing here?
He had an interception by Josh Rosen that led to a touchdown and missed field goal by Phil Dawson. One of the positives was Robert Kindici early in the game with a couple of sacks, 4 tackles for a loss. But it was so hard to stop Phillip Rivers on a day like this where he sets the NFL record for consecutive completions in a single game.
Yeah, the guy is a legendary player, right? I mean, here's a guy that is going to be in Canton. I believe that as well. I know you believe that, David. But just watching him go out there and operate this offense, he's such a competitor as well. And yet it's interesting because I kind of see a little bit of Josh Rosen in Phillip Rivers. Hopefully that's going to be the case, right, as he continues to develop. And let me just say this quickly. Over the last 5 games of the season, that's what I want to see out of this team. Josh Rosen develop, David Johnson continue to evolve in this offense, and for this rush defense in particular to bone up and play like they're capable of playing, form that foundation going forward.
It will not be easy. The schedule is difficult, and it starts next Sunday in Green Bay. That'll do it for the Arizona Cardinals 2-minute drill.
Couple of things there as we broadcast in our Bose QC35s from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center here on this edition of Cards Cover 2. Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Wolf's mentioning Rosen in the same breath as Phillip Rivers. Certainly not a comparison, but just Wolf saying he notices certain characteristics. And I'll go back to something that Wilkes said earlier on Monday, MJ, and that is he would love to see Wilkes Rosen not imitate, but at least look at what Rivers did against the Cardinals, and that is throwing to the high percentage attempts, underneath routes, the checkdowns. I looked it up. 12 of Rivers' 28 completions went to the running back.
Yeah, and that's why they're trying to get their guys in space. I mean, a lot of offensive coordinators out there look at the first 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. You could put a wide receiver on the outside, right, have him run a slant, and depending on the coverage, man-to-man or zone, he's pretty much wide open. The two things in comparison, I think we'll let this play out over the years. I mean, I think he's more like Jared Goff, maybe just frame-wise. And, Goff's obviously playing really well. He's got a lot of talent around him. But two things concern me right now about Rosen besides protection. Can't have these turnovers, okay? This team is not able to overcome miscues. That's why we talk about special teams touchdowns, field position, Andy Lee, a defensive touchdown, and to me, accuracy. Those are two things he's going to have to improve on, but I think if he gets better protection and he gets more playmakers, we'll start to see that change. I'm not worried about his confidence, okay? I'm not worried about his film study. That doesn't concern me at all. Accuracy, and you can't turn the ball over in this league and win on a consistent basis.
Yeah, the turnovers for 11 interceptions, and the accuracy I think will come as he gets more comfortable.
Gets his feet set.
Yeah, and with the protection to where you're not worried, even in the back of your mind, if you're not admitting it publicly as far as where am I going to get hit this snap.
And playmakers, guys get open. Okay, they get separation where he doesn't have to try to make tight throws because he's trying to make a play. I'm not going to fault the young man. I'm not going to call him a kid. I'm not going to fault a young man for trying to make a play, but sometimes it's okay to punt, and sometimes it's okay to check it down to a guy like David Johnson. Now, Larry Fitzgerald, to me, inexcusable, targeted twice.
That's 2 weeks in a row, targeted twice.
Right, and Wilkes said that maybe because he's playing in the slot, they could be bracketing him. In other words, we're not going to let him get over the top. Well, move him around a little bit. Put him on the outside, okay? So there's other ways you can get Larry Fitzgerald involved. We know when he catches a pass early at home, now that they're on the road again, the crowd gets into the game. It opens things up for David Johnson. It opens things up for Ricky Seals-Jones if he can catch it. It opens up things for Christian Kirk. You have to target Larry more than just twice a game.
Yeah, get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, as Rivers did on Sunday. Speaking of the Chargers quarterback, let's take you inside the Cardinals locker room. And to a man, the Cardinals defense, including Chandler Jones, had high praise for Phillip Rivers.
Hats off to Phillip Rivers. I mean, he played a tremendous game. I mean, if you guys see on the film, he went out there, he took his time operating that offense. Like I said, he was picking us apart with little dink passes, the short passes, and they hurt us. We missed some tackles on the short passes. A lot of guys, they put their playmakers on open field and they capitalized off of it. So.
Why do you think you guys have a hard time responding to adversity and bouncing back from it?
I wouldn't say that it's a hard time responding from adversity. I wouldn't use that. I would say more of we just have to execute. The players have to really buy into what the coaches are coaching. You can't try to do someone else's job. You have to do your job and only your job. So when you get sometimes you might get a little nosy and jump out of your gap, and then that's when they might spring for a big game. So. Like I said, we got to go back and watch the film and see what we did wrong, and hopefully, we can get that fixed.
So you don't think confidence is an issue with this football team right now?
No. I would never say confidence is an issue. Not any football team that I've been on. And as a leader on this team and one of the captains on this team, I wouldn't allow that. My job as a captain is to let everyone walk around with some swagger and confidence. So confidence is definitely not an issue.
Steve mentioned the poor tackling. That was kind of
exactly.
Why does that occur?
We'll have to see. Sometimes you have to take angles. Angles is a thing. Communication, in and out of calls. But yeah, missed tackles were huge. And like I just said previously on a previous question, Phillip Rivers was throwing short passes and guys were missing tackles. So we got to see what we did wrong and capitalize.
Are the players not buying in right now, like you just mentioned?
I wouldn't say that they're not buying in. Just things aren't going our way. And like I said, you at this point in the season, this is where you put your head down and you just grind. And you grind, and it might be hard, it might be gritty, but you need to grind.
Now, Jones on Sunday did have a sack. It was a half a sack split with Robert Nkemdiche, which was one of, if maybe the only bright spot for the Cardinals defensively, was seeing Robert Nkemdiche play like a first-round draft pick, and not a late first-round draft pick, but a high first-round draft pick, maybe even top 10, top 5, which many people projected him to be when he came out a few years back. But 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and he did that in all of 36 snaps. certainly his best game of his career. The question is, though, why now? Why did it take this long? And he told reporters in the locker room that he finally feels healthy. Now, that's part of it. He has been dealing with a number of different issues throughout his career, and this season alone, it's been a foot, a knee, and a calf, the latter of which cost him the previous 2 games. But if Nkemdiche can bottle up that on Sunday and move forward, well, that, again, another question is answered heading into 2019.
Yeah, a little birdie told me that somebody in the organization had a conversation with him.
Well, hey, you know what? If that little birdie wants to have more conversations or people want to have more conversations to elicit that kind of a response, raise my hand. I'm all for it.
Yeah, it was more about time is ticking. We need more from you. Now, granted, you got to be healthy, and that's his best game of his career. Now, can he stack 5 in a row? Or is he the ultimate teaser? Don't tease me. Show me.
And early on this season, he did stack games. The first 3 games, I believe, were very, very good, at least, by his standards. And now, all of a sudden, he basically exploded onto the scene here on Sunday.
He played angry. He played like Dockett. He played angry, stayed in his gaps. I mean, gap discipline. I don't know about every play, 36 plays, but he was very effective. He won at the point of attack. He wasn't getting pushed around. He was creating disruption in the backfield. But don't be the teaser. Stack these next 5 weeks and give yourself something to build on going into the offseason.
It was a productive 36 snaps on Sunday for Nkemdiche. Here's head coach Steve Wilks on his defensive tackle.
I thought he was physical. I thought he penetrated well, did a good job using his hands, really tried to dominate the line of scrimmage, as we talk about all the time, and had his best game.
Now, if Nkemdiche was the positive from Sunday, the negative, and it's something Wolfley touched on as well with the 2-minute drill, he and Dave Pasch, was the tackling. And I don't know if we'll find the answer, but I would love to know how many missed tackles there were on Sunday, because I don't believe there was a single player defensively that didn't have at least one, and I'm sure there were several that had a handful. But the tackling this late in the season, and it was a little bit of an issue early on in the year, but I believe it was Pro Football Focus at one point had the Cardinals as one of the better tackling teams.
6th in the league.
And in the season, and now all of a sudden to have that production, that effort, and yeah, it is. Tackling is a lot of effort, and there was very little effort on Sunday.
Yeah, inexcusable. I mean, you get a guy wrapped up, you got a gang tackle. You need to send more than one person to the ball carrier, the receiver, or the tight end. Getting off and using your technique, angles, as Chandler Jones pointed out, there's angles, okay? Don't try to be the hero. If you block the guy next to you or he's coming at you and somebody else is free, let them come in and try to get the tackle. So these are conversations we shouldn't be having. You see it all the time, though, in football, but just because teams are spreading you out so much and they're getting players in space, and next thing you know, you got a linebacker on a tight end who's really a wide receiver, and he can't catch him. So then the corner comes off his coverage now that the ball's been caught, and he's got to try to make that tackle. And some of these corners, they don't like to tackle. They like to play more finesse, being physical. So inexcusable when it comes to missed tackles. It reminds me of rebounding. If you want to get the rebound, you go up and get it.
Now, the missed tackles led to the Chargers gashing the Cardinals as far as what they were able to do, running the football 178 yards on the ground, 3rd worst mark the Cardinals have allowed this season. And, yeah, they have Melvin Gordon, but remember, he got hurt in that contest on Sunday, and it didn't matter because the next guys up, whether it was Justin Jackson, Austin Eckler, they both had over 7 yards every time they touched the football. And yeah, it's missed tackling, but the run defense, the run fits, we've been talking about this since preseason.
Yeah, and it's an issue. And I know I've been hard on Betch because we get the post-game show and people call in, and we appreciate their thoughts and their passion is that, there's just a top 10 defense. Well, they weren't a top 10 defense when it came to points allowed. Now, the second biggest stat for me on defense is rush defense. Under Betcher, they're about 89 yards per game. They're ranked 32nd in football right now, giving up about $150, $158 per game. That's got to improve. I just don't see the solution right now based on the roster.
One of the captains on that defense, Corey Peters, we've heard a lot from him, a stand-up guy in the locker room. Afterwards on Sunday, Paul Calvisi had a chance to catch up with the Cardinals defensive captain.
What changed after 10-0, end of the first quarter? It couldn't have started any better. What happened?
I'm not sure, honestly. We'll have to get back to the tape and kind of figure out what went wrong. But it was unacceptable completely. We'll give them credit, but we definitely did a lot of things poorly today.
What else should stick out for guys in this locker room? Maybe some of these first and second year guys. What should they take away from this?
This is the NFL. If you don't come to play, you're going to get embarrassed. So, we got a few more games left. I hope that, this doesn't happen again, and no matter what happens, we continue to fight and finish the season the right way.
Third quarter, the numbers all season have been, there's been a huge disparity. What can you put your finger on?
Really it's just about execution, not just in the third quarter, but just over the course of the season. I think that a large portion of our issues has been self-inflicted, guys not doing what they're coached to do, and it's really been undoing us. So, I think we're just going to have to take a real good look in the mirror and point at ourselves and say, I didn't do what I needed to do on this play, and it's unacceptable. How can I get it fixed?
So 5 games ago, if a turnaround were to happen, would it start with rush defense, solving that?
Oh, no doubt. I think that that's the most important thing on defense. It's been kind of our Achilles heel the entire year, and it's unacceptable, and it's going to be hard to beat a team if you allow them to run the ball at will. So it is what it is. We'll take our hats off to the Chargers. They played well today, but we got a lot of issues that we need to fix.
Cards Cover 2 continues here from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, and certainly a lot of focus on what happened defensively for the Cardinals against the Chargers. But let's face it, the offense does not escape blame here either. After that great first quarter, there was hardly any offense. Second, third, fourth quarter, a total of 41 yards after the first quarter. And, it's one of those things, and you hear Coach Wilkes say it, and it upsets fans because he says the consistency or lack thereof, we're inconsistent. Well, you play a dominant first quarter, and then second quarter you gain 16 yards. The third quarter you gain 3 yards, and the fourth quarter you gain 22 yards. That's why people are sitting here, 12 games into the season or 12 weeks into the season, scratching their head.
Well, again, it goes back to offensive plays.
True.
If you're not converting on third down and you're going 3 or 4 and out, it's hard to create any rhythm, continuity, chemistry on offense. And you look at their total plays this year, they're towards the bottom of the league when it comes to the offense.
Now, those plays had been better the previous 3 games.
Yes, they
with
were
Byron
more
Leftwich, yes.
They were more in the 60s, right?
Correct, and they were converting on third down, which also helps. But I went back to the number of plays the last 3 games, 64, 69, 52, compared to 45 on Sunday. And that's
in time of possession.
Yeah, and that's going back to the early season struggles under Mike McCoy, wondering what's going on with this offense. So, look, there's equal blame to go around, defense, offense, but certainly for me, because of the talent on the defense, and you have a defensive-minded head coach, regardless of who your defensive coordinator is, there was more expected. There was more on the shoulders of this defense in 2018 to allow the offense to kind of come and learn as they go. And then, of course, you get the quarterback switch and the OC switch. But defensively, that is something that some major decisions need to be made and some big questions need to be answered sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we talked about that going into the season, just based on how many returning starters you had on defense and some of the guys you brought in like Jamar Taylor and Bene Benwikere. They had to carry their water. They had to carry this football team. And right now they're inconsistent not only on offense but also defense.
And then offensively, going back to where we started this show as far as the roster moves with Andre Smith being released, this offensive line is going to go through another change. And you're going to have a 6th different offensive line combination in as many weeks. And if you look at the top teams in the NFL, sure, there's some changes and there's injuries, but if you want a serious offensive threat or a team that can move the ball at will or seemingly at will, look at their offensive line play and look at who is playing and how many snaps they're playing and what teams have offensive linemen that aren't missing games.
Yeah, and I always say you got to get a little lucky. I mean, sometimes it's a little luck. The football gods may be on your side or not, and sometimes you got to create your own breaks. But injuries are part of the game because it's a gladiator sport, a physical sport. Last year they used 4 left tackles. They went 8-8. The year before, when they signed Evan Mathis, they used 5 guards. So, and I see you've done your research.
In the past 5 weeks,
okay,
5 different right guards, 3 different left guards, 2 different left tackles.
Hard to win like that.
Yeah, and
that's not an excuse. It's just
that's just the facts. And then you add on a first-time offensive coordinator, play caller, and Byron Leftwich, and a rookie quarterback, and then you wonder why there are just 45 plays or 149 total yards. Well, I just gave you 3 reasons right there.
Rookie left tackle, rookie center, rookie quarterback, rookie OC, as you said.
And now,
a lot of newness
coming up on Sunday. If Humphreys does come back, I know there's been a lot of talk about draft picks on the offensive line. Well, if Humphrey does play on Sunday, you've got 3 of your 5 offensive linemen are your draft picks, 2 from this class.
Yeah, and to me, Humphreys needs to stay healthy. I think he's a top 15 left tackle in football. He's got to prove it though. Okay. That's just me saying I think he's a top 15 guy.
Well, stay healthy too. That's something he hasn't been able to stay on the field
Mason Cole, he'll be better next year. I mean, he's going through some growing pains, which is to be expected. He'll get a little stronger, and I think A.Q. Shipley will help him like he already is. And then we'll see how Justin Pugh returns from his injury. He's been on IR the last 2 years, so that's going to be a little bit of a red flag. But he's got the opportunity to compete and win that job and keep that job, and he's making $9 million. So they got to get something out of Justin Pugh.
Absolutely, because if you look at the big offseason additions, Andre Smith, Justin Pugh, one is no longer here.
I thought Pugh was more of a Band-Aid. I thought, considering that Wetzel can play a couple different positions, we didn't know they were going to draft Corey Cunningham when they signed Andre Smith. I thought he was a guy that was a stopgap guy. That's probably a better way to phrase it. I like the pick with Cole in the 3rd round. They definitely needed that position for depth. In this case, he's a starter. And you can't be afraid. You got to continue to take a bite at the apple when it comes to offensive linemen. And sometimes you got to flood the position. And you'll get it right at some point in time, but you also have to get a little luck in staying healthy.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's called Cards Cover 2. We come to you from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. You can catch us live on azcardinals.com/live video. Find us on YouTube. Just search Cards Cover 2. And if you ever miss a show, download it as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or tune in. Before we get to the Bird Gang and let them sound off here on this Monday, Larry Fitzgerald. He delivers not only on the field, but perhaps more importantly, off the field. Recently, he surprised military personnel with brand new customized Bose QC35s, the very same headphones that we use here on Cards Cover 2.
Hey, how you guys doing? Good to see you guys. I just want to thank you guys so much. I get a chance to live my dream every single weekend here playing football. I dreamed about this since I was 5 years old, and I know it wouldn't be possible without you guys' sacrifice. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, sir.
It's an honor.
God, pleasure's mine. It means a great deal to be here with you guys and just show you the respect and admiration you deserve for your commitment to our country.
How you doing? Good.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Guys, another one of our teammates, Josh Rosen, wanted to come and say hello to you guys. So.
Really got to hand it to Fitz. The man does so much, and so much that we don't all know about, but there are certain things that do get publicized, and certainly Fitz goes above and beyond in what he has to do. And, well, for instance, those headphones, those Bose QC35s, those were specially made, customized. That was the idea of Fitzgerald to make them camouflage for the military.
And you can get those online right now at Bose.com.
And by the way, since I'll go back to the tease at the top of the show. It's Cyber Monday, and it's 'tis the season, MJ. So if you're looking for anything for me for the holidays, I would love right here I would love a pair
That's on
of
your
these.
Santa wish list?
No, it's on my MJ wish list.
Oh, MJ wish list.
Yeah.
Now, I have family, and they're huge sports fans, and there's like, I think, 28 different colors, styles, models. So if you're looking for a stocking stuffer or you want to surprise someone before the holidays, go to Bose.com. $50 off Cyber Monday.
Absolutely. Certainly a great gift. And by the way, the noise canceling that these have are unbelievable.
These are like, I mean, we've been wearing them for the last couple of weeks and trying them out. They're fantastic.
And they look
I
good.
can barely hear you.
That's the thing, though, because then, as we sit upstairs and we're looking, to prepare and everything, it's now that we're just ignoring one another because we're wearing our Bose
People are like, why are you guys walking around with those? I'm like, I'm trying to block out all the noise, including Grialou.
Cards cover 2 here on a Monday. Cardinals lose on Sunday to the Chargers 45-10. Let's get the Bird Gang to sound off, and I am sure there is plenty on their mind here as the Cardinals are now staring at a 2-9 record. We go to Instagram. User wants to know, what do you make of the talk of the players giving up on Wilks on Sunday? It's only talk because Wilks did address it. He doesn't believe it. And it is certainly hard to kind of jump, at least for me, to that conclusion.
Yeah, you're going on a slippery slope there. Were guys playing as for individuals or trying not to play to get hurt? Possibly. I mean, if you got an assignment and you're not there, then something's wrong, and that's a mental error, and that's on the players. So, yeah, listen, they don't coach effort here. That should be a given. You're a professional athlete making good money. So they coach these guys up when it comes to technique and hand placement where your eyes should be. They're not coaching effort. That's on the players.
Now, the only ones that know for sure on whether they quit or not are those players in that locker room. But when you perform and put forth the efforts that we all saw, then from afar, yeah, I can understand why there was talk or people believing that this team quit on Sunday.
Yeah, when you're watching a team game and you see guy freelancing, then he's playing for himself at that point. He's one of those guys that if it's on him, he wants to point the finger at somebody else and let everyone know in the stadium who's watching on TV that wasn't my fault. No, you point to yourself and say, my bad.
Back to the Bird Gang sound off. Instagram again. User wants to know, how can the team improve with 5 games left in the season?
Be competitive, protect Josh Rosen, get the running game going, and stop the run. I know it sounds simple, but football comes down to blocking and tackling.
And don't relax, because as the Cardinals have shown now in 2 weeks, you'll be out of a job now as opposed to the end of the season.
Yeah, you better check your key card every time you come to the facility, or you better bring that iPad.
Yours worked this morning?
It did.
Very well done. Last question, Instagram. Which rookie undrafted free agents look like future possible starters?
I don't know a lot about Chris Jones. He's been added to the practice squad, but I'm a big fan of Zeke Turner and Dennis Gardeck. I think both of these guys have cut their teeth on special teams, and maybe they can provide depth next year, and it wouldn't surprise me if number 47, Zeke Turner, gets a chance to play the hybrid linebacker position, even though they want to play a true 4-3. Turner's a football player. You got a chance to see him on that kickoff return when he made that tackle when it was Derwin James running down the sidelines. Desmond King, one of their draft picks, was running down the sidelines. Zeke Turner's one of them that got the tackle there. I like Zeke Turner. I think he's got a huge upside. Worst case scenario is he's a really good special teams player.
Well, I'll give you credit. You've been on him from day one. I mean, going back before the season began.
You just see the way he moves his hips, the way he makes plays in training camp, the way he finishes drills. I mean, this guy he wants to be a good football player. He's not motivated by the money. He's motivated by the shield.
2 other names, perhaps. Well, one for sure is Trent Sherfield, perhaps at wide receiver. And then if the Cardinals with roster spots available, they did have Jalen Tolliver on the roster, and then he got released on Saturday when Charles Knopf was elevated to the active roster. So perhaps they bring Tolliver back as they try to figure out wide receiver in the event someone decides he doesn't want to play anymore in 2019, Larry Fitzgerald, that the Cardinals have some numbers at least at that position.
Yeah, that's a good call on your part. Trent Sherfield, just because he's been active, even though Gardeck and Turner have been active all year, 2 more on teams, definitely includes Sherfield. And there it sounds like, just talking to Byron Leftwich and Coach Wilkes, they're intrigued with Jalen Tolliver's, the way he catches the ball in his hands. They feel like he has really good hands, strong hands, and that will help you if you're in tight coverage and you catch the football and they're not trying to punch it out of your hand like Peanut Tillman did throughout his career.
And just remember, sometimes it's not always a bad thing to be on the practice squad, because a lot of the names that you are going to be hearing about and seeing maybe over the next couple of weeks are going to be guys from the practice squad.
Well, and they also help run the scout team, so they have a role in this roster besides not playing on game day. That's the only difference. I mean, they're at the stadium on home games, and they're probably watching. Unless you're getting treatment here, you got to come to the facility. But for the most part, you're one player away from being on the 53-man active roster.
And so far, the Cardinals might turn to several of those guys here later on this season. Appreciate the Bird Gang sounding off on this Monday using the hashtag CardsCover2. Hashtag CardsCover2. We do it each and every show towards the end, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Don't forget Cyber Monday, $50 off. Go to Bose.com, get the camouflage. They have 28 different colors, so maybe your favorite team there. You can get it for a stocking stuffer for somebody close to you. Even someone that's served in the military. Let them listen in style now with these Bose headphones.
I like Cardinal Red, MJ.
I have a pair of Cardinal Red.
Just saying. I don't, so I'm just, again.
Doesn't have the Cardinal logo on there, but you can design it with the Cardinal logo. The bird on the side.
Look into that for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's on your Craig's wish list from MJ.
Yes, absolutely. Here on
Yours
Cards
truly.
Cover 2. Appreciate that. And that is going to wrap up this edition of Cards Cover 2. Special thanks to those behind the scenes: Tim Delaney, Jim Omohundro, Devin Henry, Jeremy Schnell, plus Grayson Choi, Grant Greeley, Jonathan Hayward, Javier Rodriguez, Brandon Natus, Jesse Aranda, and Jackson Sipes. For my partner and Secret Santa, Mike Jurecki, I'm Craig Grialou. We'll talk to you on Wednesday when we put the Chargers game officially to bed and start talking about the Green Bay Packers. This has been Cards Cover 2.